her womb is so polluted.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
What's up, everybody? All right. It's 1 hour time. That's right, everybody. This is the show where we talk about one goddamn movie, right? And we just have 1 hour to talk about it. So that's how we do things.
Can I just say that the F in OFH is quite an apropos word for tonight's film.
Right.
Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to get into that, of course. But first, who do we got? To the left, we got Big T, Tom Fitzgerald. Tom, how's it going, man? How you feeling?
Marta, hello.
All right. Good to have you with us. And to my right, we got, as always, Mr. Marcus Herring. Marcus, what's going on?
I'm coming in Scarface style, bazooka under each arm.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in hot.
Oh, that's right. All right. So what are we doing tonight? We're doing, for episode 129 of the show, we're getting into 1 fucking hour on Scarface.
What?
That's right. Of course. We've been talking about, this has been a short list title for us for a minute. You know, I mean, this is a movie that I think we all have our own personal history with in some way. It's a camp classic. It's definitely a fun time. So we're going to be getting into that. But also stay tuned at the end of this episode, everybody. We're going to be unveiling, finally, we've been building up the suspense for what
Going to be very disappointing for everyone.
It might be, but we're going to be unveiling what the
part of the fun,
the elusive March series that's going to be
Madness,
in the March Madness series of 1 fucking hour. Everybody's been clamoring to find.
Are these
out.
worms?
Yes,
Movies where people
wanna
eat
eat
worms.
them.
Yeah, these are the worms. But essentially,
we're just doing. I'll say it. We're doing the worm eaters every week, reevaluating it in different ways, and just it's sort of like those guys in New Zealand who did a year. In 1 year, they watch Grown Ups 2 every day.
Right.
Oh God, we
Worst
cannot,
idea of all time.
No, we cannot do that. So
All right. Okay.
yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. So anyway, okay. We're gonna get into Scarface. Stay tuned at the end. We're gonna talk about what is this March series, and we're gonna it's gonna be a lot of fun. So all right, but before we get into that, everybody, we do have to give a shout out to the 1 fucking hour Patreon. That's right. Patreon.com/1fucking-hour is where you can sign up to become a Momen and support us. It's the best way to support the show. For just $5 a month, you get instant access to all of our bonus eps. You also get our audio commentary tracks. Yep, our bonuses, our audio commentaries. You also get 24 hours plus early access to every single freaking episode that we're doing.
So you'll be the coolest kid in the cubicles, you know, in the morning when we break out the 24-hour early notice.
Yeah, that's right.
You can boast and brag that you got the 411.
That's right. You get that early 411, right? But also, we have our new bonus episode up there right now, of course. Very exciting. We unveiled, I think it came out like a week and a half ago or something like that, which is our favorite, sort of a primer to our favorite weird and wonderful and crazy made-for-TV movies, sort of a proof of concept, if you will, for, I'm sure, movies we'll get into on the main channel. So if you want to hear that, the only way to hear that is up on the Patreon, or if you want to keep all of your bonus stuff up on YouTube, you can scroll to, or find our homepage on YouTube, find the join button, and click that and sign up. Same price, same benefits, and you can become a Momen of the YouTube channel. And we appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody who signed up thus far and supporting the show.
Heck yeah,
awesome
heck yeah.
community.
Yeah.
that we're building up there. So thank you, everybody. Yeah,
It's the best place to send us a message at 2 o'clock in the morning. Too.
That is true. We're in the chat. If you want to send us messages, harass us, tell us what you want to see on the show. It's also a great place to do that. So thank you, everybody. 1 fucking hour Patreon. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, I think we should get into this, guys. I'm excited to talk about this movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to revisit.
Me too.
So here's the clock. Here we go. All right, everybody. So Scarface doesn't need much of an introduction. You all know what it is. I'm not going to read a synopsis for Scarface. Everybody knows what it is. So, but I thought I would start this off by, Tom, you've seen this movie like me probably 50 to 100 times.
Countless
Times.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. But you had a fun rewatch, right? Recently, and how did you like what framework were you watching this in this time?
How did I approach it? Yeah. Well, again, like when I was a kid, some might remember we did Cracking Up for my birthday a few years ago.
Shout out.
No, yeah, indeed. Number 2 after Cracking Up, the movie that me and my ne'er-do-well friends would watch after school at one of our friends' houses, not doing homework. We would throw on cable, and this was the close number 2 after Cracking Up of the repeated Gonzo viewing, where we would be quoting lines of dialogue and so on. So what I'm saying is I watched it countless times when I was like 14 years old. And I haven't really watched it since. Like maybe I caught some of it on TNT. No, not really. I was just realizing that. Like maybe I saw a little on TNT a few years ago or something.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So just as a thought experiment today, I was like, all right, we got to do Scarface. So I'm going to be open-minded. Like I'm going to have no opinion. Like be a movie, and I'm ambivalent about like De Palma, for instance. But it's like, what is this? Like here's a movie called Scarface. Hi. Pretending like I had no baggage. And I went, maybe there's some great stuff. Maybe there's some moments that resonate as cinema, emotionally resonate. Maybe there's some sideways moments that actually are as good as film can get sometimes. And I watched the whole thing. And at the very end, I went, nope, there isn't. That is not the case.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And I'm not looking for, that's what I'm saying. I'm not looking for trouble. I was being open-minded, and I was like, I think what I noticed is maybe when he's not screaming so much, Pacino has some nice nuanced small face movement acting. Yeah. And he's pretty good, But other than that, it's just high camp, but going full circle. Yeah. I continue to appreciate it in this rewatch just today of its operatic cinema.
Who the fuck you think I am, you fucking dumb boy? Come on, brother. Do you want to go to war? Come on. Do you want to go to war?
Gonzo.
It's a comic book. It's broad neon brush strokes. Yeah. There's no subtlety. It's huge and crazy. Yeah. And he's taking a lot of chances. And it has no grace. It's very blunt. Yeah. And I was thinking, lastly, that it does have the kind of, the original story itself, Scarface is based on an old film, in the 30s. But it has a story as old as time. And it's telling it with almost respect to it in a way of like it being on the Dead Sea Scrolls or something, like man reaching out and, to take on the world and own the world, and he loses his soul in the act. It's like, and they do that in an operatic and an 80s zebra skin way. So it's fucking awesome.
Right. Yeah.
That's my take.
I'm pretty much on the level with you, with that. I grew up with this film, watching it a lot as a younger youth, and it was amazing. And I'm the Grand Theft Auto generation, if you will. So this movie really, of course, the Grand Theft Auto Vice City is basically Scarface, the video game. So for me, it was those two things were so linked. And of course, I'm also the dorm room movie poster generation. So right next to my Reservoir Dogs movie poster in my bedroom was a Scarface poster. So I was, living the dream, so to speak, back then. So for me, I have a lot of nostalgia tied up into this because this was a crazy, violent, nutty, gonzo film for a young kid to be watching, and and part of it was that, and of course it's vulgar and it's lurid, and so when you haven't seen a lot of things
tacky,
tacky,
in all kinds of ways,
which we'll get into, which we'll definitely get into. So I can resonate with that, and so every time I watch it, it does bring some comfort food. Back when I gave less fucks about movies and things in general like that. So, but Marcus might have.
But now on to Marcus, who's easily of the three of us, the biggest SCARFACE fan.
The biggest fan.
We thought we were stans.
Right.
But Marcus is off the charts.
Stan face over here. Yeah, tell us. Go on, Marcus.
Right. Well, I'm one of those people that's it's kind of annoying, but like my gut instinct is if a lot of people like something, I already it's already on bad terms with me starting off, So well before I saw this movie, I saw 1 million T-shirts, I saw 1 million dorm posters, and it wasn't very. When I finally saw the movie, I was always a little bit put off by seeing that all the merchandising around it, and I don't think it had actually reached a point where it was looked at in quite the same kind of campy way it is now, like post Grand Theft Auto and all that stuff. It still had sort of like a violent, mafia movie quality to it. That where people kind of took some of it seriously still, and not like it's just a big camp fest.
It's kind of lumped in with
it was so close to the 80s still when I discovered it that people were still filtering out that all that shit was tacky or campy, and
But you're right. It's kind of lumped in with like Godfather and
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. It was lumped in as a
but it doesn't when I finally saw it, I was like, wow, I was actually shocked that it didn't deliver on the level of a Godfather or Goodfellas or something, and I think one of the original sins for me was that Pacino was in Godfather and this movie, and so you're always kind of comparing the two,
Just
and
about 10 years later.
right, and his accent's so outrageous in this.
Do you know I eat octopus 3 times a day? I got fucking octopus coming out of my fucking ears, man.
And everything's just so much bigger and brighter and dumber,
Fuck you, Mel.
So it feels like you've got like it's almost like a Goofus and Gallant type thing or something.
It's crazy.
You've got that comparison.
That's Pacino's problem,
I mean, it's absurd to look back, at a time when it was completely, normal for an Italian to play a Cuban, and all that stuff, and the accent and the craziness of how.
Also, there's a confusing age thing. Because I think he's playing like way too down. Yeah, he's probably supposed to be like 25 years old.
I know, and he's like 40.
right. Years old.
Right, totally. It was by the late 90s. It was weird. It was already considered weird that he was. I don't know what it was like in the 80s. People probably didn't notice, but by the late 90s when I first saw this movie, it was already considered weird that he was playing. A Cuban guy.
Right. It's pretty wild.
Word and my balls. Yeah. No, but I want to interject one little thing that's actually quite enormous about this film. So, I love hip hop, it's my thing, fan, and this film from its inception and when I was watching it, 84, 85, 83, it blew up and has become and still is easily the #1 movie of hip hop culture.
Totally,
easily.
Yeah.
Who is one of the rappers in the Ghetto Boys?
Scarface.
Mr. Scarface.
There he is. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they have many references. And like a lot of times first of all, a lot of times they sample the Marauder music, which is very cool, like Mobb Deep.
Straight thugs on this side. Let's do or die to the death, like the terminal ill, taking their last breath. Read your last right. God forgive me for this.
Very hip. Two different times. Two different parts of the theme.
That's cool.
But then there's also just the voice samples, which the Ghetto Boys, I believe, win. They have the most, fuck you, man. Like the whole song, the hook of this Ghetto Boy song is, fuck you, man.
Fuck them all. Fuck them all. I buried those cockroaches.
Anyway, so what I'm saying, but that's just scratching the surface. It's like it goes on and on.
Yeah.
It's their #1 film. The World Is Mine is
The World Is Yours.
Song.
Yeah.
The World Is Yours. Sorry. Yeah. And there's I think a Nas video where they have a scene where he's looking at a blimp go by. And stuff like that. So anyway. what I'm saying is like I myself I didn't really spend a lot of time in dorms, so I don't have that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a beloved camp kitsch,
yeah,
warmly received thing in hip hop. Like if you talk, you could talk to any guy. I think maybe not so much in the last 10 years, but like any hip hop guy, you just start quoting Scarface and they're going to right back.
Right.
It's in the bloodstream. So I love that about it. And I don't think anyone's thinking it's great art or anything like that, but it's like, they love like I was saying, the Homeric kind of elemental story of it. It is about a guy who just does have his word in his balls. And it's very inspiring. He went from nothing. He was washing dishes to owning the world,
and it's so shamelessly glorifying the world of or just anything that's appealing to the excess of a criminal and having carte blanche power, and it's the ultimate fantasy, for sort of the gangster rap.
A mountain of cocaine.
Yeah. To the
perfect blonde woman.
Yeah, it's like music video. Exaggerated music video version of any gangster story.
Like there are rap videos where they're sitting in the bubble bath.
Yeah,
and it's like the shot is from Scarface.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Like, I think that hip hop culture knows that there's a big camp factor to it, but also there's a little bit for them. There's a little heart to it.
There's a heart, yeah,
because they can relate to it because it's a film that's a rare thing for them, which is like really poor people from the ghetto are saying like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Yeah. And I'm going to be ruthless, but I'm going to get to the top. And so that really resonated with them.
Totally.
And it crossed, any kind of ethnicity or anything like that. It's just like a poor guy, basically. So anyway, I just want to shout out like the huge resonance of this film, the hip hop. And again, they understand the camp, but they also really got something out of it,
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Can I speak in defense of the dorm room poster for a second? Too?
In defense of, okay.
Yeah,
sure,
well, I did despise seeing it so much, but then I was looking at it again today, and I was thinking, like, this is actually a pretty good poster. Like, it is cool. It's like the black and the white, and split in two. It's on the other side. It's a simplicity to it, and it, and the lettering on it and stuff. It is kind of nice. It is sort of like a nice piece of art type poster design.
Well, it matches that great suit he has, which is a black shirt, white. Jacket,
totally.
You would expect him to be more of like struggling with his good and bad, with that poster, because it's like black and white. You'd expect that to be part of the theme of the movie, but it's like, no, he's just all bad.
He's all bad.
Like, it's
all just
bad.
The way, it's really just based on that suit he has at one point in the middle of it.
For sure.
We talked about this earlier, but like, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, this is where I think I'd like to start, because I feel as though, the way we should approach this. Again, this is a big, everybody knows this movie and knows the set pieces of it, and there's so many, say hello to my little friend, and
doing that.
We're not doing that tonight. We're not doing say hello to my little friend. I want to go a couple layers deeper than that. And when I was rewatching it, and the scene popped up, and I was like, this is the most Tom scene in this movie, because I knew that you liked it, because you mentioned last week this is a film you guys watched a lot, in your younger years, and I'm thinking, this has got to be a detail that's going to come up tonight. So I would like to talk about the scene at Club Babylon, featuring the I guess, for lack of a better term, the killing of a Chinese bookie style entertainment that you would find at a club like this. And I'm talking about Octavio the Clown is kind of where I want to start.
Dude. I mean, this is basically the rest of the episode, guys.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about Octavio the Clown.
I do love this scene. Yeah.
Are you saying, Evan, that like you're like Tom Core here?
Yes. Immediately I saw that and I was like, Tom Core, because basically, let me just set this up, okay? So what's happened in this movie, right leading up to this scene, is it's the scene when Tony Montana is berating his sister for making out with this guy in the bathroom, and he smacks him. Yeah, right. Smacks him up, smacks her up, and he's put on a huge scene, and then he goes to sit down at his table at the club, and instantly we're seeing this malaise that he starts to develop, sort of about, he's getting the power that he was hungry for, but things in his life are in a complete disarray, and we see the malaise of him just sitting there. It's actually kind of a great quiet moment.
No, it is, and it's good quiet Pacino acting.
It is. Yeah,
he's in a skulking stupor.
Right, he is. But then we see a weird mask.
Well, no, hold on. Like you see Richard Belzer. I'm helping out.
Right,
you see Richard Belzer, the late great weird goofy comedian from Law and Order.
Yeah,
he's tonight's entertainment.
Yep,
and he sets it up for the next act.
Yeah, he sets up for the next act, and all of a sudden we see a fat guy or a guy in a fat suit wearing some sort of bizarre, crude like mask, like baby Devo mask.
A mask made out of like a gourd, painted flesh tone, like a complete mask, like completely, and it looks hard.
You know what it looks like? It looks exactly like Trumpy from Pod People. Anyone out there?
Oh yes,
yeah. Sure.
MST,
okay.
yeah.
Trumpy. But I was just like, whatever that is, and what's going on in this scene.
It's that sort of paper mache festival kind of look.
It feels paper mache. Can I just say that his visage is striking?
Yeah.
And by the way, this is what always got me and my friends. It's the visage of Octavio coming out, and then the film brilliantly cuts to Pacino just staring blankly at Octavio, like, "What the fuck?" It's like I said, he's in like this drugged stupor of confusion, and there's all this stress coming on him. And but can we discuss? He looks weird, but what is his act? What does he do?
I don't know. It's just,
you know what he does? He goes like this.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just like
it moves around a little.
It's total
insane.
It's that total entertainment for coke heads type thing.
Totally,
right?
Totally.
You know, Marcus.
Well, the first thing he comes out and he does like an act to Frank Sinatra. Right.
Okay.
Well, the music's playing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, yeah. I was always kind of confused by this character too. I loved the. I trashed this movie before, but I said when this scene came on, I loved it.
It's a showstopper.
I love
for
that
you?
song.
Yeah.
That song, the dance.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm gonna sleep tonight because it's gonna be playing in my head in a loop.
Right.
It's a great song.
And it's just you really wake up when you see this clown come out, and you don't even realize that it's a clown the first time you watch it. You're like, what is happening? It feels
What
like
is this weird looking person?
I know.
it feels like
it's
you
so
accidentally
crazy.
changed channels or something.
Yeah, I
something else
know.
came on.
Yeah.
But I think that there is some meaning to it. Actually, I do think that it did seem really random, and I thought like, oh, is this some Florida thing I don't get, some Miami thing I don't get, or
Cuban thing.
But I think it is like a comment on now, and I think it is a comment on like gangster movies or like just gangster culture, because he's coming out like he's wearing that kind of fedora hat.
He looks like a Dick Tracy.
He's got his pants pulled up tall, and you're right, Dick Tracy character. He's like a comic version of the mob. And he comes out. I forgot that he comes out singing to the Frank Sinatra song,
Right.
And so I think this is sort of contrasting with like the Cuban mafia in Miami 1980s, contrasting with like the 1930s like mafia guy,
of
and
the
saying
original,
like that these guys today are so violent they make those old school gangsters look like clowns. I think that might be kind of like what the intention was there.
Hardcore read on Octavio is not what I was expecting from
He's
Marcus.
going in. But now here's the other
that's as
thing.
deep as I go in the whole movie. Okay,
Nicely done. So Octavio. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like his name's Octavio. I feel like he is just like a local act.
Yeah,
like he plays like Cuban nightclubs. Like
Octavio is sort of like Roman general type thing too, right? Like
I'm sure that was
discussed.
First thing on their minds. Naming him.
Well,
oh, shots fired. Okay, go ahead. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. It's just like you're blowing my mind. You're blowing my mind. I didn't know there was too much to Octavio.
No,
but see, now that we're going to really hyperanalyze the scene, and again, just to navigate and remind folks.
But I was right right about you in this.
Well, I was just going to say you're 100% right.
Okay,
and Octavio is like all day. Like we were huge Octavio fans. We were in, but it was not just Octavio. Like I keep saying, it was the cross cutting.
I know
with the skulking stupor,
and you see you also see Octavio like reflected in the many mirrors.
Yes,
as well too, which is
a stupor Pacino.
It's crazy incredible image.
No, but here's the thing, and this is why we're deep diving in the show. This scene is very great. This Night at the Babylon.
Yeah,
because there's a nice thing that they do when Belzer's on earlier before Octavio. Belzer's telling these really bad jokes, which feels very authentic. Like people on cocaine are just laughing at anything like, stop talking. I guess that's a joke. You know, and so they're laughing like hyenas, and it's a pan. And I don't love De Palma, but this is good. It's a pan of all these dumb jackasses laughing at these terrible jokes.
Yeah.
And then he kind of rests on this one table, and there's two people who aren't laughing at Richard Belzer.
Okay. All right. I just want to say, and this is, again, we could do an hour on the scene, but this to me also read like, damn, this is some like, in a cartoon world that this movie exists in, there was a real crack in that facade, and here is a very slice of real, scary, and sketchy, you know, which is these two dudes who are sitting there that are the armed gunmen that are going to open fire on Tony Montana in the club, but they look sketchy as fuck in this movie.
Side note to amplify that, I think one of the great things this film does is there's brilliant extras casting.
Yeah.
The small parts of the henchmen.
It is good. Yeah.
Very lived in. I feel like they were not actors
I know.
And they were cast for their look, you know?
Yeah.
So those guys look totally menacing, and it's paced really well because it takes them a while to figure out the right timing.
I know.
And then actually, when Octavio, I noticed this thing, when Octavio comes on, these two guys have been staring blankly, and they have these you know, ARs under their napkins. They both look at each other silently when Octavio hits the stage.
Yeah, I know.
And it feels partly because for a second I was like,
instead. Yeah. Right.
Well, no, I think for a second they were going like, the fuck is this show? You know, but they're not. They're more just like 3, 2, 1, let's hit it.
Sure.
And they were like, this is our cue. Like, let's hit it. Like Octavio's on. And so,
but then they kill Octavio. He's the only bystander that gets fucking killed. Right.
I think a few people.
Okay, but he's like direct in fire. Yeah.
No, they cut him in half with bullets with his fake big belly. No, but you pointed this out, Evan. Is Tony takes cover at the belly of
the belly of Octavio.
Right. Back at the assassins.
Right. Amazing. And then and then of course you see the craziness in the club, and it's, you know, De Palma, he's at home in a scene like that, very Carrie-esque, totally. You know, like the pandemonium, you know, he's good at doing pandemonium. So
there's some really cool shout out to the mirrors too. Like you didn't mention that, but just the production challenge involved in that, you know, and shooting in a round room with the walls are all mirrors, and they came up with a really cool idea. I read they put the mirrors on gimbals so they could kind of angle them away from the camera, you know, so that you could shoot and not pick up the camera, but still have the effect of like seeing the people's faces and reflected and stuff. So it's a pretty cool idea.
Nice. Yeah. I want to bounce. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, if we wanted to, we could move on to a second.
I was going to
easily the number 2 chunk.
I was going to do that. Yeah, exactly. So the number 2 chunk, and this this scene I'll just set up as another one that, you know, I used to make my own VHS to VHS sort of mixtapes of like gore scenes, you know, for you know, to play with, you know, in front of my friends, you know, and this one obviously, even though you don't technically see implements hitting flesh,
and it's technically not horror.
It's not horror either, but it's just this is a big gore. This is an all-timer gore set piece of its era. And of course, we're talking about the chainsaw scene, which you know, to me, it's like
now the leg, eh?
Yeah, now the leg, eh?
Now the leg, eh?
Yeah, exactly. And to me, it's like I kind of feel like the first 30 minutes of this movie might be the best parts of the movie.
Yeah,
it feels lean. It's zipping along.
Yeah.
Where once you get to the more like middle back parts, a lot of scenes are very bloated and long, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
The film kind of in the second act, they fall into like the articulating the malaise he's in.
Yeah, a little too much. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, so
I agree.
But it's firing on all cylinders up to this point, and we're moving very quick through his ascension. And of course, you know, he's there to make his first deal with some other, you know, drug lord types, and he gets to the door. And, you know, it's this very, I mean, Tom, take it away. The introduction of these minor characters.
This is actually the big scene where me and my stupid friends would just walk by each other in high school and be like, Marta, hello.
Marta, hello.
And like we had a whole kind of fan fiction thing. Like, first of all, when the door opens, it's Hector,
Yeah.
and it's Hector, and everything's very tense. The actor, we got so excited about Hector that over the years we would let each other know, oh my God, I saw Hector in this other movie.
Oh,
yeah, he's very cool. Hector is
creepy
is
as fuck.
very. That looks like a real actor, but he looks very lived in, very real, very plausible as someone who would open the door when you're making a drug deal, in a flea bag, seedy motel,
right,
by the beach in Miami in 1981. So he opens the door. Velour necklaces. It's all. See, the thing about this film, and exemplified by like Hector, is this film is the whole second half of Boogie Nights, basically.
Totally. I was going to bring up Boogie Nights a lot tonight because we'll do that.
So
but there's a lot of it in here. Yeah.
So it's just the sweaty, grotesque like mutation of the 70s into the 80s.
Totally.
And so Hector's that. He's got a very fake smile. And our guy Tony sees right through the smiles and Hector's introducing Marta. Who's very menacingly sitting at the bed, and she looks fucking crazy. It's like almost. Can I just say it's almost like Wild at Heart, David Lynch kind of stuff.
Sure.
You know, like I'm looking at the picture and she looks awful. She looks like she's been a prostitute her whole life. I'm not trying to insult this character who doesn't.
No,
exist,
it's just it's
Marta
what's on
looks
screen.
like she's had a lot of hard road, way too much makeup, a weird kind of awful, like aging porno actress in the mid '80s kind of haircut, like dyed like dark red and like spiky. And of course she has that scary look on her face. She doesn't say anything when he says Marta hello. She just nods her head. Very menacing. The room is seedy. They're playing, trivia question, they're playing Earthquake, the disaster movie on television.
With OJ, OJ's Earthquake?
So they're playing Earthquake. So anyway, I'll speed it up. So it's like there's tension. There's a lot of like, why don't I go back outside when we start this fucking thing over again? You know, that kind of thing. Like, right. So it's like, no, I don't have it here, man. I got it in the car. And it's like, no, you say, so it's a lot of easily like huge tension and something bad's going to happen like in 40 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
So then the chainsaw comes out, and Tony's friend gets hit up hard. The classic line Hector says as he's revving up the chainsaw for the second run at Tony's friend is "Not the leg, as I was saying a minute ago. And it's true. It's not quite graphic, but you really feel it. And the sonics of it, the buzzing chainsaw, there's blood splatters, a nice close up of the guy's eyes.
It's really, really nuts. And something I remember from I think one of the special features from like back in the day, because again I was the gore guy. I believe somewhere, maybe it's never been released, but I do believe they filmed the scene of him chopping his leg off.
I've heard that,
that exists
maybe
somewhere.
Like
I heard they had like props and stuff.
Can you imagine?
Legs and arms and stuff.
No, can you imagine if that's how it played?
But I will say this: there's some shots in that scene that are so nauseating and creepy and vivid, and so kind of wild at heart and everything. Where it's like blood is splattering this awful, rancid old motel bathroom,
I love it.
Toilet, and it's just like it's really kind of like hell on earth. That bathroom, then is hell on earth. And guess who's the devil? Is Hector.
I know.
And that great face he makes, and he's like. And he's taunting Tony, and they're about to chainsaw Tony, and then Tony's friends come and save him. But then, and you were pointing out.
Let me pick this up. Yeah, let me pick this up here.
Hector leaving the scene.
Yeah, because I actually remember in like an early film class that I took, like in high school or something. I think I did like a summer program abroad, and there was they showed us this scene, which is crazy. You know, I know they showed it as a scene. That's like cool. Good filmmaking, you know. And I remember the teacher pointing out specifically those wild overhead shots where, or it's kind of top down where they have the camera high up, presumably right at the edge of the set looking down. And so you get this wide shot of Hector chasing, Manny, I think, through the like, motel bedroom with the chainsaw. And it's just like, it widens it out so it looks like a stage play of this crazy fucking
But the thing is, the other thing that I noticed is Hector's leading the way, with his chainsaw, and he's chainsawing through glass, like
oh yeah, it's amazing.
like vine, dividers and stuff like that. And he goes at one point into the adjacent room in the motel,
right,
crashing through it with a chainsaw, and then out through
the window,
their window.
Yeah.
And it reminded me nothing but It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World.
I know.
Towards the end,
Yeah.
and
That's De Palma.
it's kind of apropos.
Yeah.
So,
and then he gets shot in the fucking face.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
kill you dead.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's in public, and it's in front of all all these geriatric retirees.
I know.
It's fucking insanely awesome.
That is really like that moment when it's like he's just standing there in broad daylight. All these bystanders are there, and it's just fucking execute a guy in the middle of the street. We don't care.
Kill you dead.
Because like one of the things people would say, because and I do want to touch on sort of a little bit of the backstory of this film, because it's interesting only in that what if like this happened differently, this project. It was, it was a project that would have been helmed by Sidney Lumet. It would have been, which is very different. Basically Oliver Stone was brought on to write this very more realistic depiction of what was happening in Miami, very gritty street version of it. And Sidney Lumet.
Yes, this story is based on real events. There was the Cubans, Fidel emptied his jails and his mental hospitals.
And Jimmy Carter allowed them to come in.
Jimmy Carter was doing the humanitarian thing.
Right.
But they didn't know that it was like a Trojan horse.
Right. Exactly. So this idea was that, with Sidney Lumet at the helm, Oliver Stone, and they were going to make this film more tonally akin to like Serpico. So imagine that. With this movie, looking at basically what's happening in Miami with all this, the crazy drug gang wars and everything that's happening there. So, but that scene hints at maybe a little bit of what it might have been like, because that second there where he gets blown away in the middle of the street, those types of things is what people, in Miami would see on a regular basis. Like the threat of that was
this
very
was in, This
real.
was in the headlines. This was, this stuff. And one other thing about, the film, coming out all these years ago from '83. Subsequently, we've had all this. What's that Netflix show? Oh my God, I can't remember.
Cartel
Medellin or whatever. But like, this has become a hot, in the last 5 years, 10 years or so, it's become a hot topic, kind of looking back at the, who's the drug lord, the big guy,
Pablo Escobar.
Pablo Escobar. Yeah. So we've revisited that a lot as a culture, and you see that they had this terrifying grip on the major cities in Miami for years. So it was like right off the headlines, this film, and that's a wild thing to think about. That it wasn't, because the thing is, it feels like a lot of times, like Goodfellas, for instance, that's throwback. That's looking at like
the
what
60s,
was happening.
70s.
Right. This is actually like hot off the presses kind of subject matter.
That's the original Scarface was like that too, right? Because it's like those
Prohibition
events are like happening like almost around the same time. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah. I guess then the production had problems, I guess, when they started shooting this movie, because the local Cuban population in Miami was upset that they were making this, and they started thinking that it was like Castro propaganda, that the film was going to be Castro propaganda. So they actually ended up protesting the film a lot, and they had to relocate and shoot it in LA.
That's kind of like
they were going to shoot in Miami.
Reminds me of Cruising.
Well, on the subject of cruising, maybe we should hit it while we're here. On the subject of cruising, just to get a little bit of more of the color in the backstory, Pacino's coming off of Cruising, which was a flop, and Tom's favorite,
my favorite
author.
Dude, that's next birthday for me. Author.
Yeah. And so he's coming off of like, I need to reboot my career. So he was looking for something. He went to a revival screening of the original Scarface, thought it was badass, primed to remake it. He called up his producer buddy, Marty Bregman, and they pursued doing this project. And that's when sort of the idea of like, let's get Oliver Stone involved. He's doing, he just did Midnight Express. He's a hot sort of up and coming.
He won an Oscar for Midnight Express.
He did. He was Oscar winner.
Bit of a commodity. Yeah.
Yep, totally. Yeah. And he wanted to direct his own films. He wanted to direct this movie, but he just flopped with The Hand, another Tom favorite. And
bleeding hand.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, Halloween. We're doing that one.
and so that happened, and then they were like, "No, we're gonna get Sidney Lumet," and he's like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. That could be a cool project." But then Sidney did not like the script, and this is what's interesting about this. Oliver Stone decides to go method and research the hell out of what's happening in Miami, and becomes a coke fiend in the process. And it's so bad.
I love it.
His coke addiction, while he's he's embedding with DEA agents and meeting with shady third rung criminal people and organizations, doing Hectors and doing blow, and it's getting so bad that he has to relocate to Paris just to get away from cocaine to write this fucking script. And so And so he does that, and then of course Sidney Lumet reads it, and it's not. He's like, "Oh, this is lurid, it's violent, and it's not this political film that I wanted to make." And then Marty Bregman's like, "Well, we don't like political films, don't work, so fuck you." And they went and they found Brian, who originally was in talks early on with this, but they brought Brian in, and it's interesting because Brian is, we've talked about on the show before. He is garish, over the top, trashy filmmaker who makes these operatic, as you said, type films, these larger than life, exaggerated Hitchcockian, basically cartoons
with kind of a tongue-in-cheek wink the whole time.
A wink.
Like it's not kind of taking any of this bullshit that seriously.
No, so it's
you could like or not,
exactly.
And this film has that tone too a lot. Of times.
My God, yeah, it's so over the top. But so that kind of chafes with what Oliver Stone wants to do with this film, which is more of a gritty street thing, as we established. So to cut to the chase, on the set of this movie, there was a lot of friction between the two. Which would lead to Oliver getting banned from the set, banned from the daily rooms, because he was writing letters to people, basically urgently saying they're fucking up my movie by cutting out all these scenes. They cut out all the scenes.
Really, I could see where he's coming from, and they kind of did. Like
they did.
If you would look at any number of scenes, like fly pelican, that scene where he's in the hot tub.
Manny, look at this pelican fly. Come on, pelican.
Which is a huge hip hop beloved quote. But no, the film. I mean,
he takes himself a lot more seriously, Oliver Stone. Right?
Yeah, and you could, and all I'm saying is like you could needle drop Scarface, and it's just ridiculous in one way or another. Almost every moment you needle drop in this film. Including ponderous, like attempts to try to have these huge character arc scales of tragedy with his sister and all that stuff.
I know.
Kind of bomb or Mama coming back to home.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because
that's the next half hour. All the Mama scenes. Yeah,
the Mama and the sister arc, is so funny because another really fun further reading for entertainment value is read Pauline Kael's review of Scarface.
Oh, I bet.
Because she rips it apart.
She loved De Palma.
Yeah, she does. But she kind of ripped this movie apart for the obvious. I mean, everybody did when this came out. Everybody fucking hated this movie. But she was writing mostly about how the things that they oddly carried over from the original film is oddly some of the most dated. So like the idea of him sort of being overly protective, and puritanical in regards to his sister, and then the whole "Mama, look, I made it, Mama,"
and Mama refusing this filthy money,
is very 1930s in a lot of ways,
which was kind of like they had to inject that morality into the film back then. They felt societal pressure to make it have a moral. Or make it have moral.
I think
ethics,
it was also just it was just standard. It was like that was storytelling.
Right.
In mainstream culture,
right.
It wasn't like an amoral hellhole of madness. It wasn't like Performance or something.
Well,
movies in the 30s.
But that's something you definitely see out of a movie at that time.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the original Scarface has all this violence and stuff in it too, but then at the end it has to have him get what he deserves and beg for forgiveness and that kind of thing. So
sure. And then one other aspect to it too, that on the flip side, it's like the things that it didn't borrow from the original is the zippy pace that the original had. And this film, while it does have great,
you don't appreciate the big sag in the second act.
no,
Yeah.
and she was ripping it apart for that, where it's like, there's these scenes that go on so long towards that part, and
well, one of the let's maybe focus on one, like one of the ones that is just like, I mean, I enjoy it again for the camp.
Me too.
But the scene of her womb is so polluted,
Her womb is so polluted.
the rest, because the thing is,
That's
when
the
you think the
best.
restaurant scene's wrapping, it's the restaurant scene, and it's like it's peak illustration of his malaise, because he says something. This is actually the moment when I almost started thinking this was a real film, when he kind of like reflects and goes, is this what we fought for?
This what it's all about. Forget it. This what I work for.
yeah,
Just to sit here and do coke all day and fuck it. Is this like, what did I work so hard for? And like what I worked so hard for and risked my life and killed people is just so unsatisfying. This is it. And I thought that, they didn't expand on it, but like it was told, it was tell don't show so much. It was a long monologue.
yeah.
And he's kind of chewing the scenery, and she's pretty good.
I want to talk about her. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah,
Michelle Pfeiffer. But just like that scene, when I think it's about to end, it's like, oh my god. Then there's the second whole half, which is him disturbingly leaving and going, "I'm the bad guy." Say hello to the bad guy. And it's just like, wow, bring it in, yo.
Yeah. I don't think it's not helped by the fact that the movie looks the same a lot of the times, and you go to that club like 4 times or something, the Babylon Club, and then his house later on looks kind of like the Babylon Club with these like columns and curtains and things. So visually, the movie doesn't have much variety to it, So, and the fact that it's long and it's visually similar, I think adds to the boredom.
There's one. You're right, totally. I agree with you. But there's one scene. Strangely, it's the moment, the establishing shot to go to Mama's house. Is really beautifully filmed. It's like in the background.
Yeah,
it's like golden hour sunset of like this industrial neighborhood, and then he drives into her house, and it looks like Edward Hopper.
Yes, it does. It does
literally Edward. And it's like there's like, why is it so gorgeous all of a sudden?
I think that is part of that. They started shooting in Miami, then had to transfer to shooting it at the Universal Studios backlot.
Well, so much. Yeah, I mean, so much of what you're saying, Marcus, is those sets. I mean, they're all sets, and they're just bringing
clearly too
truckloads of this gaudy, Miami. Shout out Dream Tackle for all my Brooklyn
furniture and Brooklyn
Dream Tackle Brooklyn people. We've had some people comment about Dream Tackle in our videos, so shout out to you guys. Very Dream Tackle is what's happening in those scenes, and it's just amazing to see all that stuff because it's peak, Miami. White carpet, and just it's amazing.
I think one more thing, sorry, on just the visuals. I think also just the lighting, like it was an intentional thing to make it look not like a noir, to have it like be really bright, And I think that also makes it feel kind of like TV lighting, and then you're shooting on these sound stages and stuff. And it makes the film have a certain look, like it does. In certain times it looks like TV movie-ish, because of that.
Sure.
So,
don't tell Octavio that.
but the cinematography is good though, and this is the last thing I'm going to say for the entire rest of the episode. Okay, but the cinematography is good. The guy John A. Alonzo is the cinematographer for this.
What else has he done?
Some killer stuff. So Chinatown, Vanishing Point, Harold and Maude. Fucking Watt Stacks, which is amazing. So and here's Bad News Bears, JoJo Dancer, Cool World, and my mom's favorite movie, House Sitter. So anyway, he's in a lot of
respect. No, the film looks really smart. But
I want to just tie a few things.
Go ahead.
I just want to tie up a few things before we move on. One thing, just to go back to that dinner steakhouse scene or whatever it is, her womb is so polluted scene.
But
is
it like a half an hour?
Yeah, I know exactly. Just to tie all that up. So what Pauline Kael, just to circle back to her, it's like she's talking about how the movie has no real middle arc. It's all his rise and then it's his malaise and fall. We don't get to really experience much of how he got to said height, and I totally can see that. But to circle again now back to Michelle Pfeiffer, who this is her big breakout. She was a nobody at this point, and this was her big break. And I think she does a terrific job. She
was in Grease 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
But she was, she's like emaciated in this movie in terms of just how thin she got for this role. I guess that she actually really did slim down to like that crazy, or you can see her ribs level skinny.
Yeah, anorexic cokehead.
Because she wanted to play that. She was really committed to looking like the sort of
totally
druggy, wife. And she said that, like, I guess she said in a recent Q&A that her diet was just Marlboro cigarettes and tomato soup in order to get to that level, which is crazy. But I think she does a pretty damn good job, especially in that scene. And she's very convincing. And then again, to circle back again, what you guys were talking, we did mention Boogie Nights, and she is the biggest Boogie Nights sort of aspect of this to me, like in terms of a character, because there's that fucking fire ass montage in this movie, the push it to the limit, of course.
Oh, dude, you want to get like what has that great laughing back and forth.
Oh yeah,
where Sosa, the South American Sosa's like, like they're telling like bad jokes. Like, remember when we threw him over the helicopter and hung him? Like, it's so goofy,
so good, so good.
What I'm saying is, like, I love how they're trying to impart like these are the good days.
I know,
like,
it's so good.
Good days, so good. Phone call laughs.
I know, phone call laughs and fucking tiger reveals. Yep, and more Boogie Nights montage. He reveals the painting of her and him sitting.
All very Donald Trump, by the way.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not even trying to like let's pretend for a minute Donald Trump wasn't the president and all that shit. Right. But it's like this is a very Trumpy vision of success.
It is gaudy.
Again, I'm not being political about it. I'm just saying like that's like the good life.
Right,
is super Trump, and he does have the reveal of the great portrait of him and Pfeiffer.
Some gilded, like marble,
the gaudy gilded,
and it's like vaguely Greco-Roman, like a Greco-Roman television, like
neon.
That clip of Michael Jackson shopping in Las Vegas at that store, and he's like, "I'll take two of those."
It's Vegas gift shop time. I say, I'm just going through my notes here.
I just got to end the montage though.
Well, please.
Let me just end the montage with the most Boogie Nights moment maybe in the film, which is it ends with a foreshadowing of the sort of dark foreshadowing of where this movie is going to go. That's Michelle doing the coke, and with that sort of Scorsese push in, and the lighting's dark. It's not like as brightly lit and stuff, and that is so Julianne Moore out of Boogie Nights moment, where she caps off that montage. It's the same fucking thing. So I wanted to point that out. And
respect.
Yeah,
Boogie Nights came to mind plenty.
Yeah. This movie definitely seems like it's hugely inspired tons of people, and you see like, Sopranos references it, takes some actors from it. Breaking Bad references it, takes some actors from it. It's like that generation of filmmakers have this film has a special place in their heart.
Totally.
Well, what I was going to say too is, we're talking about the gaudy kind of Trump world kind of vision of success, but then it does a pretty decent thing where there's the classic turn. And it's suddenly ugly again and grimy when he's working with Seidelbaum and counting 20s, like it's counting 20s all night, where the camera's in the 12 o'clock on the clock, And that just, I like that looks all granky and lived in.
Very Friedkin style there.
Yeah, sure. Indeed. Yeah. But it's the first tip to that pivot over to where it gets really harsh and ugly in Boogie Nights again. And but even maybe more importantly, Goodfellas. Yeah. That tip where he's like looking out for helicopters and driving in his car.
Yeah.
So I think he does, and it's funny. It predates all this stuff we're describing.
It does.
I don't know if there's any direct influences. I think it's in a way sort of zeitgeistish.
It is. Yeah.
They're all kind of like vibing.
Well, it gets a little 70s for a minute there. It gets 70s with that, and then it also that
could be a Lumet kind of thing.
It is. Yeah, and then it gets even more Lumet where it then goes to the scene in New York, where he's bringing the guy in to try and plant the bomb underneath.
I love that stuff's great.
I love that too.
Like, no, but you know what? It's funny you mentioned Lumet. Actually, what I was going to say is, because this is Brian De Palma, And in the New York scenes where they're pursuing the car of the do-gooder guy who's about to speak at the UN, and
the
then there's
whistleblower,
kids and the wife,
journalist. Yeah.
Actually, what I was thinking was, it's Brian De Palma going, "Oh God, I can do a little Hitchcock here."
Yes, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
right.
He's doing the thing because Hitchcock says suspense is not knowing what's happening, but you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have the potential innocent victims playing patty cake in the back seat, right?
Yep.
Cut to the explosive,
very Hitchcock.
Yeah, and it's all very Hitchcock. And it's like New York City. Like it could have been. What I'm saying is that suddenly becomes this whole other film, and I'm like, can I get more of that? Like New York City, drug dealers, like on an international scale with pipe bombs and stuff. And I thought that worked out really well. And then that guy's suitably scary. His the henchman who's
he's so scary.
Because that's the other Hitchcock cut. Is it's like red button, innocent child.
Yep.
Cross-cutting.
Yeah, totally. And the scene that
stuff's good.
No, it is good. And the scene that sets it up too, when they're in Sosa's mansion and he's playing the tape of the journalist and how they're going to expose everybody. And it's this projection TV that's got like a picture frame around it.
Big gaudy frame, yeah.
That's hot. And then it's all these great push-ins to everyone's reaction to the
super
footage.
Close-ups,
And that's pretty dope. That's great. One other scene I wanted to mention, Marcus, you mentioned how we keep returning to the club over and over again. But now to bring us back to the Babylon for a second. Another great Michelle Pfeiffer moment is when they all go out to the club. I think it's for the first time. And they're there, what's the guy's name? His kind of boss, his first boss that he has.
That's a Hassa, the pig that don't fly straight. That guy.
Yeah, right, yeah. Exactly.
Oh my God, what is his name?
The Feet Slamana guy, the guy that was in Sopranos?
Yes.
Robert Loggia.
Robert Loggia.
Robert Loggia character.
Yeah, I can't remember his character's name. Anyway, so that's when we really get to see Michelle Pfeiffer like in action for the first time. And she's just this ice queen, icy woman, so disenchanted with everything that's happening. But then she's sort of like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to dance. And then she goes to the dance floor and does this, like, whatever her notion of like a very sophisticated ice queen way to dance.
Kind of like latter era Studio 54.
Yeah. Totally. And I love
a very
that.
cool, like, I don't know what it is. It's like a Deborah Harry sung song called like Rush, Rush, Gimme Yayo.
Oh yeah,
cocaine.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's like a
So
cocaine
cool.
song. Rush, rush, gimme yayo, and that's Deborah Harry, Marcus.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But
That's
then
cool.
like fucking
Yeah, it's good.
but then Tony Montana is like so annoying in that scene to her, he's like, "What's your name?" Hancock, huh? Like a bird flying away. Whatever. Like,
You don't like his game.
no,
It's
his
weird because
game
he
sucks.
criticizes his buddy for his game earlier. He's like, "Oh, it's disgusting, man."
Yeah, I know.
both
I know.
really
That
bad.
looks like a
He's
bug
pretty
coming out
Stick
of your
your
mouth.
tongue.
He's like, "My pickup game is equally disgusting."
So bad.
Yeah,
So
differently
bad.
disgusting.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I definitely
Actually, can I just say,
Yeah.
in the ridiculous, getting a little, if we're deep diving, there's
love
this thing
deep
about Pacino being silly in a car with a woman.
yes.
And that it also happens in Godfather 3.
Yes.
But in Godfather 3, he pretends to be the chauffeur and he's like, "Where are you going?" Right?
Yeah.
When he's in the driver's seat in 3. And here he puts on Pfeiffer's hat and looks all silly and he's like, "What, you don't think you look good on me?" And he's like, and I know that Pino brought that to do this kind of weird, like, female hat or like hat, game.
That's very 30s to me too, kind of in a moment.
I don't know. It feels like a Pacino trick.
Okay.
Yeah. Did we already mention? I know we talked about it before the episode, but did we mention that he was intentionally doing comedy and stuff in this film?
No,
like
we
he was
didn't.
trying to
Yeah.
keep it light and comedic.
Well,
In a way, he thought that bringing that was important.
Yeah, I heard that it was sort of like, because the script is almost a different movie than the film, because De Palma just went to town and did his De Palma shtick to the script. And, as I was mentioning, Oliver Stone was really pissed because they kept cutting his scenes, his precious scenes that he had, that were more character and, more context to the world and the underworld. And they were getting cut left and right because the budget was ballooning and they needed to cut things left and right,
I love it.
like in real time, which is great. So, but anyway,
love it.
So Pacino, I think after the first few days, because the first scene they ever shot is the scene of him being interrogated by the border guys in the beginning, right? Where
Which is
You get
excellent.
that scar.
yeah, the scar, licking pussy, eating pussy, or whatever. And And so I think after a few days, when he's getting his sea legs and figuring out how this is going, he's like, whoa, this is being played big and this is being played over the top, and I'm going to have to go with that a little bit more. And then by the end of the film, it's off the fucking rails. You know, he's bringing it over the edge, you know. Of
Can
course.
I just add, this is, I don't know what the anti of in defense of, but in the antagonism of Oliver Stone, Oliver Stone protesting how gaudy and out of control Scarface got. This is the man.
I know.
This is the man, Oliver Stone, who made The Doors.
Yes, totally.
So
it makes Scarface look restrained.
So like, watch out there. The calling the kettle black, boy.
No, I
do like. Just a quick little tidbit. Shout out to Marauder for the the
great score,
sort of soundtrack.
Legendary.
I do love. It does underscore the malaise we've said numerous times in this episode, but it's got that kind of like it's sad and kind of almost the song doesn't have a lot of changes to it. Doesn't like go places, so it's got that kind of almost bored ennui tone to it. And I do love that.
It's
You're talking about Tony's theme specifically.
Tony's theme. Awesome.
And Pfeiffer's theme too.
Elvira, whatever.
It really makes it that like whole like groovy layer of like synth, you know. Like
some of the tone has that almost like that kind of that. I know it's like much later synth, but it has almost that Clockwork Orange kind of sound to it.
It does.
It's like kind of like a flat horn synth or something. You know,
for sure. And one scene I wanted to just highlight, just a quick little moment lost in the sea of this film, lost in, you know, some of the back half where it might feel a little
mountain of Coke at your desk.
In a mountain of Coke, and where things start to get long, drawn out, and they're
kind of slow.
But right in the sea of all that is a great little moment that's very underappreciated, which I caught on this second viewing, which is after the hit at the nightclub, you know, with our homeboy Octavio, Tony goes back to, you know, Robert Loggia's hideout, and he's there, gun in hand. He's all beat up, he's bleeding, and he's going to kill Robert Loggia, right? And he's also going to kill that fucking cop.
He's going to kill Mel.
Mel, the crooked Mel, right?
Played by the great Harris Yulin. Shout out to
Shout
out. But he's really good actor.
He's great in everything he's in. And so he fucking kills Robert Loggia, fucking slaughters him. He shoots fucking Mel in the gut and then in the heart.
Quick stop here. This was one of the three big things for us crazy high school kids. We watched the show every day after school. We really loved when Mel was like, "Okay, you just shot me in the stomach. It's all right. I'll go. Let me get this fixed up. Just let bygones be bygones." Like he's trying to rationalize his way through, like just being shot in the stomach. You know? Like it's okay. Let's sort this out. I'm going to the hospital. We'll talk about this tomorrow. It doesn't really work out for Mel.
Does that happen? I don't remember that. But anyway,
it does. He tries to kind of like walk his way through.
Okay, that's amazing.
Post the first shot to his stomach.
Okay. But anyway, kills both of them, but then it focuses on one of Robert Loggia's henchmen, Ernie, and it's this tension of like, are we gonna kill Ernie, or like, hey Ernie, you want a job? And you're like, fuck yeah. That's like the fucking throw down.
Ernie's assuming 1, 2, 3. These are the last breaths I'm taking.
Right.
And the thing is, they know it. Tony and his brother. And they know it too, and they're just like they cut him some slack, and they go, "Hey, brother, want a job?" And then Ernie, that's the best acting in the film. Tony basically exhales the relief of not dying, and then the little guy, Tony's henchman, the little guy next to me goes like, "Hey man, cool,
you got a job."
Basically, he's like, "You got a job. Shoot you in the head, brother." And then Ernie takes a big swig of like Jack Daniels. Great scene. De Palma could have done his whole career little scenes like that. It would have helped him.
It's amazing, and Ernie's performance is the most grounded in the whole film. It's actually it's a little nugget in a sea of otherwise crazy shit. But anyway, I would be remiss if I did not mention this. I just saw it in my notes. Is now little thought experiment, guys. Now we said Scarface could have been a Sidney Lumet gritty street crime film. You know, it could have been that. Could have been a different thing. How about this thought experiment? You ready for this one?
Ooh.
Who? Now, don't give it away if you know. Did fucking De Palma? Who was he campaigning to play the role of Manny? Okay.
Manny. Oh wow.
Okay, you don't know? I'm going to tell you. You ready?
No, I'm not-
He wanted for the role of Manny, of course. You know, no. And this is, Al Pacino's sidekick throughout the whole film, who's actually Cuban. He's the only Cuban in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. He wanted
Paul Williams.
Imagine this. Imagine this movie with Al Pacino doing that accent, doing his thing, and John Travolta doing that.
You know what? I can see it.
Yeah. You could.
It might have helped the film a little bit.
I think it would have. Yeah, I think
And
it might have.
that actually is very positive. This is Travolta during the Staying Alive Fever sequel.
Or
period.
Blowout. I think they just did Blowout, right?
No, he didn't Blowout.
But imagine
totally.
his accent.
Well, I heard that Travolta actually played Octavio, and it was this unrecognized cameo.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that?
I thought it was Eddie
Oh
Pepitone.
my God. Eddie Pepitone.
I
Yeah,
think it's total fucking bullshit.
But dude, it really is absolutely
Total fucking bullshit.
yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, David. Maybe that's not true.
Yeah, maybe another time we'll look at it. But anyway, insane. Just imagining Travolta in like presumably spray tan and then doing a fake accent would have been nuts.
Another Italian doing a
Yeah, exactly. These fucking Italians.
true.
But he would have brought
I'll just
something.
say this. At the theater, we had a weekend with Al Pacino, and I hung out with him a lot.
Oh yeah.
And we screened. He's great, really nice. We had a great time. He's a very, very enjoyable person. We screened like a midnight screening of Scarface, and I could not get him to just show up and say hi before the screening. He's just like pass, and he just like, come on, and he just didn't. He was there,
Yeah.
and he just didn't say
Amazing.
hi in an intro.
All right. He was probably scared of the Scarface fans, which I totally would
Yeah,
understand.
it's true. Yeah,
Right.
All right, everybody. Well, that was 1 fucking hour on Scarface. I guess Scarface deep cut, which I'm cool with. The style of an episode, going deep cut on Scarface.
I mean, when you do 15 minutes on Octavio, it's a deep cut episode.
I know.
Yeah.
That was crazy. We really did 15 minutes.
I know. I think I looked at the clock and it was like 38 minutes.
I know.
To go. By the time we
I
thought.
think we left a little bit on the table.
A
There,
little
but,
Octavio on the table. All right.
maybe.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I actually heard that in the Scarface The World Is Yours video game that he is a NPC in the game.
Fuck.
Yes.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
is. He is.
Let's look that up.
There's like
Yeah.
Octavio side quests, I think. I know. So
Now we're talking.
yeah, pretty good shit. So all right, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that was the end of the show. 1 fucking hour in Scarface, deep cut style. But now it's the time. The time is here. Oh my God. I feel like I should have a drum roll or something for this.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but I guess maybe here we are about to get into the unveiling of what we're doing next. Oh my God.
March Madness. This is this year, 2025. This is Project 2025 here. Our first series, right?
First series? Yeah, because we've just been doing
First series of the year.
whatever the fuck. Yeah, so this is our
Yeah,
first
we've
series.
been free balling here so far this year.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah, so that's all well and good. And but here's what we're doing. Okay. So we've been teasing this for a while, but we've also, I guess, one way to frame it is, we like to stick to our bread and butter here. Okay. We do a lot of 70s to 80s, 90s now. We've done a lot of 90s films. We do a lot of
did an early 80s.
we just did an early 80s.
Falling right in line with what we do here.
That's our gulch that we're in, is we do the late 70s, early 80s
Very
thing.
much so.
A little 90s sprinkled in. We do, the weird obscuro worm eater stuff. But we don't do a lot of like black and white films. We don't do a lot of things from older eras. I think we've done like one film, a couple of films from the 60s,
Like
maybe
The
even.
Virgin Spring.
That was like it.
I
Yeah.
think is the earliest.
Oh yeah, that's the
And
earliest.
Otherwise, well, let's put it this way. Last year's,
Help,
or
we did.
whenever we did that,
Yeah.
our thing where we just polls is we
Polls.
started with the year 1968.
Right.
When
Or
we,
seven,
when we had
maybe.
people choose a film.
Yeah.
We did, each week was 68 to 82.
Right.
And we started at 68,
Yeah, so we rarely ever venture, before the 1960s, but that's what we're committing to. Because Tom, what are we doing? What's this going to be?
We're going for it. We're going to get so far from the 60s that we're going to like cut it in half and we're doing 3 for 30s.
That's right.
We're doing 3 films from the motherfucking 30s.
30s.
We're not even saying, oh, let's gingerly walk towards the dawn of film.
Right.
The 50s. We're not doing Rear Window. We're not doing the 40s.
Right.
We're doing the 30s. Right when, like, the 30s started when, like, talkies started.
I know.
You know what? When the first 30s films, when you had someone reading the newspaper, it was soaking wet because the mic would pick up the crinkle.
There you go.
Right.
You go. So
we're going that far back.
We're doing 3 for the 30s. So our next 3 episodes are all going to be films from the 1930s. Everyone who's excited about that. I am good to reveal the full plan, right? Like, should I?
Let's go.
Okay. So what we're going to do next week, obviously we are going to do the most 1 fucking hour choice I think you could do for the 30s to kick it off. So it's not that extreme. But the first film we're going to do for next week for our 30s series is we're going to do, obviously, Todd Browning's Freaks.
Yep.
So, of course we're going to get into Freaks.
Wild film. History.
Yeah. So this is going to be an incredible app. I'm very excited about that. One, I've had it on the short list, so definitely get your pre-watch in for Freaks. And then this is going to be a trip, man. I don't know. This is going to be a wild hour because we're going to get into. I just bought the 4K of this, so I can soak it in.
Love it.
Week 2 of the 30s experiment is going to be 1 fucking hour on The Wizard of Oz.
I can't wait to watch us do that.
I know, exactly.
I want to see that. It's such a special film. You know, we've been really covering a lot of David Lynch.
Yeah, it's huge. It's the archetype.
There's a whole film about Lynch / Oz, and
totally.
He has explicit references in Wild at Heart, and there's a lot of expressions in the Twin Peaks season 3. And so anyway, it's kind of been on my mind, and it's such a huge film, and in a way, we're barely going to make it with an hour. But it'll
going to be tough.
It'll be our first musical too, right?
That's right. Yeah, probably. So. Yeah, there you go. So Wizard of Oz, and then week 3, I won't unveil all of the details of this yet because we're still figuring it out. But week 3, the 3rd episode of the 30s, the March extravaganza, is going to be a poll. We're going to bring back the 1 fucking hour poll, which we love polls here.
We love polls.
I love polls.
Yeah, and so we're going to pick 4 films from the 30s. You guys are going to vote for those up on the Instagram at 1 fucking hour.
It'll be like 5 like after like Wizard of Oz or something, we'll drop
4
like
titles.
5 titles.
4 titles.
4 titles, okay.
Has to be 4.
4 titles, and we'll hash it out and see. Let the winner,
the winner will be picked.
The winner will be picked.
Yeah,
and this is a reflection of, like I was referring to earlier, was it last year, 1968, 19?
It was.
We did it.
We 67.
No, but the last time we did it actually was the last film of the 90s.
That's
we
right.
did a poll for 1999.
That's right.
So we like our polls here once in a while.
We do like.
So we're gonna do another. We're gonna do 30s poll.
Yeah.
Anyway, join us. It should be very fun. It's gonna be in a way, since these 2 films at least are gonzo.
Yeah.
It won't feel that different,
right?
Because we're gonna be covering a lot of wild cinema here.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So so that'll be fun, and also it's episode 130 of the show, which is a complete coincidence, kicking off next week. So
3rd month of the year.
I know. That's just wild. So 1 fucking hour is going to the 1930s next week. So hope you guys will enjoy that. Something different here on the show.
42nd Street.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be good shit. And of course, one last shout out to the 1 fucking hour Patreon, patreon.com/1 fucking hour. Sign up there if you want to hear our bonus episode. I'm sure we'll put together something interesting for the 30s series. Maybe there's an extra bonus ep in there themed around that. Or who knows? Maybe.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, right. Or maybe not. Maybe something completely unrelated. And or if you want to keep
our favorite backstage musicals.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah,
maybe
could be.
not. Or you can, if you want to support the show, you can on YouTube. You can of course become a Momen of the channel by clicking the join button by going to our channel homepage, signing up there. $5 a month, same perks, same benefits. We appreciate you guys, and we can't leave you guys tonight, of course, without, I mentioned it earlier, but your
Momen
of Zen for tonight. This will be fun. I think I know what it is, but it's going to be fun.
I have a thought.
You have a thought or two? Okay, great. All right, everybody. Well, we'll see you next week when we go back to the 30s. So, all right, everybody, take care and have a good rest of your week. And we'll see you on the flip side. All right, bye.
Bye.
This it? Is this what it's all about? Killing, driving, dealing, swearing. Then what? You're 50, you got a bag for a belly, you got tits, you need a bra, they got hair on them, you got a liver, you got spots on them, and you're looking like these rich fucking mummies.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
That was wicked, man.